I is for images. So let's talk about how to add alt text for images in Microsoft Word. The first thing you need to do when you have an image in your document is you need to decide whether that image is necessary for readers of the document. Or does that image just help set the tone, maybe a feel, but it's more decorative? So for example, the first time I see a logo for the place that has generated the document, that logo is probably necessary. But if I see the logo on every page, I'm going to mark it on decorative as every page except page 1. Here you see an image that I have that is of just people communicating through devices. That is here to set the tone, and it's a great image to have. It is okay to have decorative images, but that is something that's going to take up the time and space of someone who's using a screen reader and not add anything to the content. So let's show how to mark those as decorative or to add alt text. So you can do this two ways. You can do it as you go, or you can do it using the accessibility tool at the end. Sometimes it is faster to just use the accessibility tool. I'm going to show both ways. So first of all, I'm going to right-click on this image, and I can view alt text. So I can go ahead and write that this is the logo for the University of Maryland School of Social Work. So that's what I would do. Okay. You usually don't want to say image of. If it's something special like a screenshot, you can state that, or a specific kind of diagram like a mind map, but don't say image of or graphic of because the screen reader will handle that for you. It's going to go ahead and save, and now I'm going to do the next one. So I'm going to right click again, and I'm going to look at alt text. But in this case, I'm going to mark it as decorative. So you can see that we have grayed out this space. I'm going to demonstrate a new method for going to our alt text. I'm just going to look at the accessibility of all of the images in the document. This is a slightly more complicated image. It is a graphic, it includes words. Very often we are told when we're looking at accessibility not to create graphics that include words at all, to put that text inside what we've written. But what we really need to do if we're looking at not just visual accessibility, but the overall universal design for learning, graphics and breaking it down like this can be really helpful. But what we need to decide to do is alt text necessary, or is all of the information about this graphic already covered in the text? If it's already covered in the text, adding alt text to this graphic would actually potentially overload. It means repetitiveness for the person using a screen reader. So instead, what we would do is mark it as decorative. Now, if I decided that a text like this or a image like this needed to be described, this is actually a little bit too long to describe in alt text. So instead, what I would do is I would say that it is a graphical representation of the UDL concept, multiple means of representation, including information about that, and I would say as described in the long description at the end of the document. At the end of the document, I would put something that said long description, and I would describe this there. Finally, I want to note that when you're using charts to show trends or patterns, you still need to describe them. This is a really great design for a chart. It features the specific numbers. Generally, the contrast is good in this chart, but if someone is not able to see it, they can't get the point that you were trying to get across. So I would put something like this. I wouldn't put each bullet point, but I would say that it compares digital accessibility lawsuits filed between these times and tell what the general trend was.